Hello everyone, welcome to episode 207 of Floating Through Film. This week we are doing another FTF Theory episode with, it's just a lecture from Deleuze's movement image book. He gave a series of lectures, and this is just one lecture in that series on, basically what we're going to explain during the first part of this episode is what he calls the second level of the action image, which is the large form of narration. So we're going to kind of talk about what that means, and then the film that he talks about in the lecture specifically is M, or one of the films. He talks about a lot of films, actually. We're going to go through that, but let me introduce our co-hosts here, Luke.
Hello.
And Blake.
What's up?
So I just mentioned this before we start recording, I'm pretty sure this is your first time either of you have read Deleuze.
Yes.
At least Luke said he had tried to read it. How far did you get? Like past the intro, or like?
I don't remember. It wasn't very far.
You don't remember that much?
I was like, bro, what is this? These like talks in like riddles and shit. Like,
that was me reading this essay.
Like,
a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, like what the fuck?
I mean, okay, I'm curious because it's actually really not that complicated. This is actually some of the simpler stuff.
I think I get the
but to get to you just have to. I want to define some of the words, and like Blake was even asking before, like, what is this like SAS shit? You know,
I kind of get
the SAS was fine, but whenever he had the SAS apostrophe,
well, the apostrophe is like is the scene after it becomes like the trans, like it's like a
that's really easy to understand.
It's a transformation, like it's like
like
a
prime.
Like, we just made things worse for him.
No.
This prime.
Like we're gonna talk about it. That's a huge part of it, especially in relation to this film. So it should make sense by the end, at least that part. But I will admit, there's a lot of like, this is like a mid part of the series of lectures. You
kind of threw us
because a lot of the lectures, eventually, honestly, both of you need to read the movement image and time image. That would be amazing. But these lectures are actually really useful because he's teaching to college kids. You know, so he's actually simplifying, like, you know how you said in the book, like, he's, like, talking riddles and shit?
Yeah.
Like, you can tell he's simplifying a lot of the ideas in these lectures, compared to how he's almost, like, he's trying to create film criticism that's also, like, its own style, you know? He's trying to be really unique, but we're going to specifically talk about M in the action image, but before I get into it, what did you guys get out of this? And especially, you know, maybe not. Is there something random you said, or even related to M? Is there anything you guys?
I did honestly really. It made me interested to watch The Wind. Also, I know that you did that. Apparently,
yes,
I did not know that until before you said that recently.
Yeah.
But it made me interested to watch that movie just because of how he was comparing. Just even the first shot of that movie to how it actually plays out. Like, it basically shows what's going to happen in the movie at the very beginning, and then it just plays it out almost. And I was like, damn, okay. It's an interesting way to look at movies just in general, but
I like the duels between like the forms of cinema.
Yes.
Stuff that was kind of
that's
cool.
That's probably my favorite part, honestly. At least especially related to this movie.
Yeah, the SAS stuff is cool too. Not a lot of deep insights here, but like it's just like it was interesting. Now explain to us, Danny.
Maybe if I explain
Professor.
a little bit.
The floor is yours.
Well, okay, so basically, Deleuze believes there's these kind of, especially for the movement image, there are these types of movement images in cinema. You know, basically, these kind of qualities, you could say. And, like, I don't want to go too deep into it. Honestly, we might have to come back and just, like, talk about these various images of cinema. But he names 3 movement images, and there's also, like, time images, too. But the 3 that we're going to talk about, at least I'll mention, the first one is what he calls the perception image. And what he really means by that is, like, basically when the experience of what you're watching when you're watching the film, or, like, maybe even like the director's point of view in a way, like what is the frame actually showing us? Like what kind of emotion or affect are we supposed to have in a way? And without getting too deep in it, because honestly the perception image is actually maybe his most complicated term in some ways. But what he just basically calls it is a perception of a perception. Basically that idea of showing perception itself. he says that's kind of like basically the ground of cinema, the fact that you can show a perception of the camera. And so his filmmaker of the perception image is Bertov. And like he says, like Man with Moving Camera Arm is a great example of that. It's like he's literally just trying to show the perception of the camera, of perception itself, without getting too deep. That's the perception image. He says that's the kind of first movement image. The second one is the affection image. And he says basically an affection, this one is like where this is why the cinema books I love so much, because he's relating them to how, really when he says movement images, he's actually talking about movement in real life too, like how we actually experience reality at the same time. Because he talks about the affection image. And he says basically an affection image is the interval between the incoming perception, the perception image, and then the outgoing action, which is the action of the image that comes after this, right? So he says the affection is basically what you feel in the interval between those two things, between the perception and then your action that you commit later on. That's the affection you have, the kind of quality you feel. And without going too much in detail, can you guess like the early filmmaker he calls the affection image filmmaker, at least the film he really uses?
The affection.
And he says like
Chaplin.
Definitely Chaplin is in there, but I want to give one more hint. Is he says basically the affection image is the close-up, and the close-up is the face.
Is he in the essay?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
drier.
But it's drier.
Okay.
And he literally makes those equivalents. He says the affection image is the close-up, and the close-up is the face, because he says what the face does is basically abstracts reality and gives you an emotion from it. Instead of a whole milieu with the person inside of it, you just see a face abstracted, and it gives you an emotion, an affection. And he says that's in between, perception and action. And then there's one more I have to explain, because he says, then in between affection and action, there's the impulse image. And this is where he's actually trying to explain, like what basically motivates actions, And he calls, basically, the impulse image is, like, if the easiest way to think about the impulse image is to think about characters where the humans are kind of treated like animals, where they're seen as animals, They're driven by instincts. He says that it's basically associated with the kind of naturalism that sees, like, humans driven by instincts. They're kind of animals. It's like underneath the surface, can you guess the filmmakers he kind of talks about with those?
With the
John Woo. No, I'm just kidding.
What's his name again?
Basically, humans as animals. That's what he says the impulse image is about. Those kind of. That's what explains the character's actions.
Kubrick.
Buñuel.
Buñuel's one of them.
Oh, okay, Buñuel.
And Stroheim is the other one he talks about a lot. And then also Joseph Losey.
Who also has a remake of M. He remade M, right? Okay,
he does, yes. I need to watch that too. But those are the three directors he talks about with the impulse image in terms of like how they see the world is these characters are driven by natural impulses, that almost they can't control. And the reason I'm bringing up the impulse image specifically is because he's going to bring this up later with the ending of M. How this character explains his actions.
Yes.
Versus how the underworld that has now moved on to the action image is what I'm about to talk about. They can't understand impulses, because their actions are defined by different things now, and so that kind of actually leads me to the action image is what this essay is really about. And really, the simplest way to just define the action image, he says, basically most of Hollywood cinema, most of narrative cinema is the action image. And he says it's the domain of realism. So basically, if you think of more realistic settings, basically most American cinema, it's this kind of action image.
Yeah.
And he says, so instead of, where I just talked about the impulse image, where the character's actions are defined by these kind of human impulses, almost like animal drives or instincts, he says what defines the action image is now these characters' actions aren't just instincts, their actions are defined by their situations, or what he calls their milieus. They're events that are taking place to these characters.
Yeah.
And actually, before I go back to the action image, in the lecture he mentions a director that is related to the impulse image, that he thinks. And I thought you would know, like, he meant, it's a director you really like, but me and Blake haven't seen him.
What's the...
Visconti?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Damn, they didn't even get a chance to fucking guess.
Sorry,
I
remember bringing it up in that.
Yeah. But do you remember what he says? Because,
No.
he says, Visconti has always been obsessed with the idea of trying to make a cinema of the impulse and of the object. And he says that's why food in Visconti has an enormous importance.
Food?
The food in Visconti
food.
has an enormous importance. Just objects of food.
Uh-huh.
And he talks about the leopard, where the priest explains the world of the rich. And he quotes, because I haven't seen the film, but I thought you would know, because he says how this priest is trying to describe the rich world. He's like, the rich don't understand you. They don't live in a world that the Lord created. They live in a world that they themselves created.
Yeah.
So what is very important to you has no importance for them, and what seems insignificant to you, on the contrary, is a matter of life to death for them.
I don't.
And then I love what Deleuze says.
I don't remember that exact quote because the movie's 3 hours long. But,
but that kind of
no, I get the idea. Yeah, the idea makes a lot of sense for the leopard. Yeah.
No, because I love what Deleuze says, because he's like, and this describes Buñuel perfectly too. Because then he says, on the other hand, what is of fundamental importance is to have a picnic. A picnic, that indeed is quite impressive. It's like basically these kind of impulses that drive these characters are not basically anywhere related to like realism. You know.
You guys need to watch Visconti.
I do need to watch.
Blake, get on it
for sure. I watch.
Honestly, he talks about Visconti a lot because then he also relates Visconti the time image to like he'll talk about later.
Especially because Danny kept dissing him during the Rosley series. Like, he's like, "Fuck Visconti, I haven't even seen a fucking movie."
There's no way. I was not hating.
You're like, oh, like this book, like, you like makes me like not like him.
What? No, I didn't say that.
You're like, oh, he's like a fake communist or whatever. Like,
I do remember him saying that.
Yeah, you remember that shit, right?
No, right, Tad Gallagher says that in his book, basically.
And you're like, oh, he's probably right and stuff like that.
What? Okay. Now you're just projecting.
Wait, projecting? What? Same.
I do need to watch Visconti, for sure. But see, now we've arrived at this action image. Basically, like I've said, how are we basically, an easy way to say is, how are we explaining the character's actions? You know, what's motivating them? So we've gone from these like kind of raw impulses of naturalism of the impulse image to the action image, where characters aren't driven by impulses, but it's defined, as he describes, by their behavior. You know, which is, he says, is basically situations or milieus that are kind of englobing or engrossing the character to where they have to have some kind of action. You know, it's not just an impulse.
Yeah.
And that's where we get to where he has these two forms of the action image, the large form and the small form. This whole lecture is about the large form. And he says that's because with the large form, you start with your huge situation, right? And that's why he says the Western...
The short form is the scene by scene thing?
Scene by scene, where you're starting more with the character's actions instead. So that's where Chaplin, he talks a lot. The next lecture is about Chaplin, actually, a lot. Where it's the ASA form. Action, situation. It's the action of the characters that all of a sudden then defines the situation, which then defines their actions again, kind of.
Okay, yeah.
He says the large form is the opposite. It's where you start with this huge situation, you know, this huge milieu. Usually in westerns, think a lot of wide shots. Think a lot of. That's why he even says in this, basically this idea of like the large form needs a lot of money, basically. You know, think large sets. It needs a lot of means, basically, to have a large form of narration. And so, like, so let me describe what he says. This SAS, where I kind of already said it. Where he says S is the situation, the milieu, right? A is the action or the behavior of the characters, right? That are forced to come because of those situations.
Yeah.
And that last S is the resulting situation. What's the end of the movie? And that prime, I forgot what Blake called it already.
The asterisk.
Yeah, the asterisk, yeah. It just means like, has the situation at the end of the movie changed or not? That's all it means. Is like, is the situation the exact same as the beginning of the film? Has anything really changed? Then it's SAS. If it hasn't changed, I mean. If it has changed, if there's some new situation now that's emerged from because of the character's actions, you have the prime. And he says there's all these different versions, you can have variations of this. He even says there's even SA, and then you have no S, because sometimes they don't even show the resulting situation. So you can have a movie where it's just SA.
What's like a
He doesn't name an example, but you can think of movies like that where it almost just ends before you even see the resulting and what happens because of it. You know, what happens because of the actions of the characters.
Yeah, totally. Let me think real quick.
I'm trying to think like movies that have sudden
like
endings.
A Revette, like a Revette movie.
Like the ending of Le Nord or something?
No, the Duchess of Langau's ending. Or I guess they all end, I guess, kind of okay. It's just like still kind of abrupt. Like you weren't expecting it more so.
Yeah.
But then he talks about the...
What's the one? Oh yeah, Le Pont du Nord's the one where it just pans the fucking sun to the sunset and it ends. And I'm just like, what? Okay.
Yeah, that honestly, that's probably the best example.
But to be fair, I would think about early cinema more. I would think about this era more when he talks about, because Revette's definitely
like Lumiere Brothers. Lumiere Brothers.
Well, more westerns. These kind of the genres I'm about to mention.
Great Train Robbery.
Too early.
You said early cinema. I'm bringing up examples.
I mean, okay, this era.
A Trip to the Moon.
M is like 30s.
So it's like not early cinema.
Okay, do you remember any of the genres he mentions? Because he says some of the genres traversed.
Western.
He says are documentary.
Oh, wait,
and remember the director he mentions.
Robert Flaherty.
So that
is that? How do you say that?
Flaherty.
Flaherty?
Flaherty. I actually don't know.
I say Flaherty.
He mentions noir. That's M.
Yeah.
Lang
also did. Or no, I'm thinking Maltese Falcon.
He mentions recent or archaic history with Griffith. Birth of a Nation and Intolerance.
Intolerance, yeah. Have you seen Intolerance?
No.
That's a good movie.
What the fuck?
I do. Actually, that's going to be important for this essay, too. Because he actually compares Griffith to the kind of montage Lang is going to use.
You didn't watch it, too?
I actually haven't seen either. I haven't seen Birth of a Nation either.
I haven't either.
But Intolerance, though, like, damn, it's like a...
To be fair, there is something to this.
It's more like a movie. Yeah.
Related to this essay, because it's going to come up in a second. This idea of... actually, we're here right now. This is where he gives the 4 laws of this SAS form. And this is where Fritz Lang really comes in, at least for this movie, that I find interesting. Because this first law, he says, is the law of montage of action, basically. And what he says is, how does the director relate these centers of action to each other?
Yeah.
You know? And so, do you remember what he says the 2 centers of action in the film are?
The 2 centers of action in the film?
The 2 centers of action that are affecting...
The cops and the beggars.
Yes, exactly.
Or, sorry,
the
criminals,
yes. Those are the two situations or milieux, or the basic centers that he calls, that are affecting our main character, the A in the middle, you know, and how he reacts. And this is what I love, because he says every great filmmaker has his own logic of montage of action, you know. And then he says, this is why Lang was so significant. He said other critics have talked about this before. This idea, do you remember what he says? Because he says Griffith's montage of action is based on oppositions. You know, like Intolerance, or the ones I haven't seen, but like I know what Intolerance is about. You know, how he's basically opposing when he cuts to different
timeline or time periods,
different groups or something. You know, but the montage of action here, he says Lang is more like rhyming them, and that's where you get that great scene where you see the underworld talking about like what they're gonna do.
Oh yes.
And then mid conversation,
it switches to the cops.
Yes, and then it cuts back and forth, and he's trying to almost confuse you, you know. But like that's what Deleuze says. He's basically rhyming his Lang says like example of the first law of the large form is basically rhyming. He's using rhymes and complementaries instead of montage of oppositions, and he says he's like basically one of the first to do this, and that's why like at least one example of why M is so significant. And then to bring back the SAS part about this film, that's what makes this interesting, because he's like, Deleuze is never black and white. Like, he'll give you these kind of terms, but like you don't even have to use terms the same way he does, you know? Because he even asked the question, at the end of this film, is this an SAS film, where the situation hasn't changed at all? Or is this an SAS prime, where there actually is a change now?
I mean, it's not a change.
Because he kind of mirrors society.
I think it's just like it ends with just the ladies going like protect your children even more, because
how would it like would the change be? Well, like what would the change be?
So he gives us both. He says if it's SAS prime, if it changed, if we consider that the underworld has now regained its freedom of action, something has changed, right? But then he says it could also be an SAS, because the last words in the films belong to the mother, where she says it will happen again from now on. We have to watch the children.
I guess I view it that way.
Yeah, so it's like he's like, it's up to you. You know, how do you see the film? You know,
where's the free mode of action mean?
Well, now the underworld can do their crimes again.
Okay,
because that's what was stopping them, right?
Like everything goes back to normal, basically.
Yeah, the situation has changed from like the beginning of the movie where they weren't able to do anything because of this M killer, you know. So this is just like he says, every great filmmaker has his own logic of montage of action.
Every gay filmmaker?
Every great.
Every gay filmmaker?
I mean, some people do think all gay filmmakers are gay.
No, I was about to say, was Fritz Lang gay? This is news to me. Like, damn. We need to run the tape to see if he actually said gay.
I do combine my words like that.
I don't think he did, but
why would I say that?
Because Danny always gets really defensive when you like call out something like that he said. And you're like he'll send a video back like slowing it down and stuff like.
Because you're fucking trying to. Okay, don't get me started.
See, this is what
was the one that we had recently?
This is why I look up to Harry Fabian, the rage baiting goat, like the rage baiting Michael Jordan.
Oh, he called him Richard Gottok. That's what the last one we had was. Not Richard Gottok.
It's like, yeah, you guys like, why would I say that?
I don't know, bro. Like, you tell me.
I do need to be better at pronouncing my words.
I do
we
too.
All do. We all
you
do.
Did say Richard though. I'm not. I will die on that hill.
I will die on that hill.
Okay, but let me go back to this because that was only the first law. The second law is one I also really love, and he probably goes. It's actually really fun. It's a fun thing to think about. Where he calls this the law of forbidden montage, or also you could say this is Bazin's law in his mind, and where basically he says, in this even though you're always having this montage of action between centers or something, there has to be at some point in the film where he says the duel or the action must be shown in a single shot, you know, where it's like, and he means this literally, like at some point you must actually see it all in a single shot, you know, and so that's
he brings up Chaplin with the line.
That's why I love that. Yes, I love that shot where he's like, because Bazin loves that example where it's like, for us to believe this realism, we have to see that shot to them together, you know, that's where the montage, it can't overcome that, at least in Bazin's head, and that's where Deleuze gets this law, you know, where he says the law of forbidden montage, and he says that's where the kind of essence of the duel comes to a close, you know, that's where in M, the criminal underworld, is they meet at the end, you know, and you see them all together. Yeah. So the third law, this is basically, you could also say in another way, kind of describes the large form too, where he says this is the law of the gap, and he says there's basically, but you know, that situation at the beginning of the film, however it's introduced, whatever it is, there's always a huge gap between that situation at the beginning and that situation at the end. And that's why there's so many actions in the middle, where all these duels come to be, you know, because he says there's a great gap between the situation and response, or the character's behavior. Because he even says, like, it's impossible to immediately just transform a situation into a new situation, right? There has to be some kind of actions. And he says that's basically what this large form is. It's like how great of a gap is of like all the characters, between what the characters are going to have to do and like their situation at the beginning of the film. That's why I think Westerns are a great way to think about this form in general, is because like you just think about, you know, something like a Scourgers or something like that. You know, you think about these kind of huge expanses itself. That's where he even mentions this part of this essay where he says it takes great means to start from situations. Because I think that's a great way. Because like, you know, when you think about the reverse kind of film like Chaplin's, you think very small. You know, you don't think great means. You know, you think kind of like you can still make these on smaller budgets and stuff. Yeah, like smaller films.
Yeah.
But for these great films, like he's literally saying, like to create big situations, you need great means. Literally, you know. This was before CGI, so no. But
I wonder what you'd say.
I don't know actually.
Don't watch these. No. Well, there are some good ones, but.
Yeah. Yeah, and then basically this is the last one. This is where we get to the law of the duel. Maybe my favorite one.
That's fine.
The original reason I read this essay was because I was trying to
shot Liberty Dogs.
Exactly. Yeah. And I never even mentioned it on the podcast.
I don't think you did. Yeah.
Because that would have taken me too long to get to even the law. What the law? That's why it had to be its own episode to get to what the law of the duel is. But then basically he says this is where we get to the spectator, because he asks in the fourth law, the question the spectator is asked is, what's the real duel in all of this? What is the... and then he says another law of the duel is basically never think you have to determine where the duel is. And, like, basically, where's the real conflict of the film? And then another point he says about this kind of duel form, it says, a rich and satisfying film either successively or simultaneously accommodates all kinds of different duels. And that's where it made really click with Man Who Shot Liberty Balance. Or, honestly, any great... Like, we can even say this about Trouble in Paradise. Even any film with, like, a love triangle. Because that's what he talks about, Man Who Shot Liberty Balance, is, like, there's no love triangle. That's why it's wrong to call it a love triangle. It's just a film with different duels in it between two characters, Because he says at first, it seems to be between Liberty Valance and the lawyer at the beginning. But then along comes the cowboy. And so then the real duel shifts. It's between the man of law and the man who can't read. And he says, and then the woman comes in. The man who can't read, the old cowboy, understands that he will never have the woman after the woman approaches the man of law and asks him to teach her how to write. And so, okay, so there's 3 duels here. And basically he's like, that's what the question of this, the law of the duel is to ask, where's the real duel in all of this? And, do you remember what he says? Where we actually find the real duel? He says, at least with an M, or at least he says it was all films, but we find the real duel outside of the film. The real duel of the film is how we interpret the film. And I love how you mentioned, for example, what did you just mention as the real duel of Night in the City that we did last week?
The real duel?
For the director of that film.
But it's,
because he mentions
blacklisted.
He meant McCarthyism.
Yeah.
Because he mentions that specifically in this. He's like, a lot of westerns are about that.
Yeah,
that's the real duel of the film.
Silver Load,
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Because he says, what will the real duel be? What the film itself cannot say.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of talked about this on our last theory episode, too, I feel like.
I mean, this, yeah,
like
Oshima's
filmography in general can be said to be this, too.
About what the... Yes.
Just like these duels what is the actual duel?
100%.
Like,
I mean, he even says something like that. I'm trying to find it. He says, the real duel in the end is always a cinematographic duel, the way in which a director settles his own account. And you can say, that's what Oshima was literally saying.
Yeah, he literally said that, yeah.
Just directly, Like, Deleuze is such a director's kind of writer. Like, he's read all the great theorists. Do you remember, because this is where, like, this reading of M is, like, I don't think I would have ever heard this from anyone else, and I just love it. Do you remember what he says the real duel of M is?
Isn't it like...
Because that's why we had all this build-up of I was explaining these different affection images and action images.
Isn't it like Fritz Lang breaking out of his old tradition and into his new one?
Exactly, yes.
With Peter Lorre.
And how would we put that in Deleuzian terms?
Expressionism or something, right?
Expressionism, which he says, for Lang, he doesn't distinguish between expressionism and the impulse image. For Lang, the impulse image is basically expressionism.
Okay.
And that's where this ending comes in, where you have Peter Lorre. And he says, like, it's so... He starts complimenting Peter Lorre, and he's like, at the end of this film... Because for the most of the film, he's very quiet, He says he's kind of just... I forget the word he uses, at least the translation.
Like, you said he was a main character before. I almost asked, is he actually a main character? Because he's like... I mean, he's in the movie a lot, obviously, but, I mean...
Well, that's why I think for the large form, you can say the main characters in a lot of films are the situations that the characters are in,
Yeah, okay.
That's where the centers of action comes in. It's not necessarily about the one character or something. Because first he says, you already mentioned the 2 duels of the film, the 2 main duels, right, between M and the beggars and M with the police. But then he says, like all great films, there's more duels that dovetail from that. And he mentions... there's even duels, for example, between the beggars and the criminals themselves.
Yeah.
And he says there's also, even on the side of the police, there's various duels between the different workers. Between the commissioner and then his boss and the minister and so on. When they're arguing and stuff. And he says so you have all sorts of duels that dovetail, and this is what will fill the large form. To get back to Peter Lorre at the end, because he says for the whole film. It almost kind of reminds me of the way I was talking about... I've already mentioned this multiple times, what Henry Fonda in Fort Apache. Like, when his acting all of a sudden changes, and you just, like... you just notice the expression so much
Yeah.
more. Like that's how this kind of effect has, where it's like this whole film. He says he's like very soberly in the film. You know, like he's kind of just like he's not too expressive.
No, yeah,
you know,
for sure.
But then this last scene, he says all of a sudden his scene, his acting changes to very expressionistic. Like you could tell Lang on purpose, like be expressionistic as possible. Like this is why we cast you, you know, for your face in this scene. Like literally, his eyes feel like they're about to pop out. Like it's like a cartoon or something. Like he literally was a cartoon. That's probably what I'm thinking about.
He was?
In the Looney Tunes, they used to use him.
Really?
That face. Have you not? You've seen the animation of him before.
I mean, probably, but I guess I just never realized it was Peter Lorre.
Yeah, that is.
Because it was before I knew who Peter Lorre was. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
the bug-eyed.
Yes.
Damn. Okay, I see. I definitely see it now. I would have never guessed that was Peter Lorre whenever I was a child, though.
No.
Damn. I mean obviously, but
no, but he was definitely really popular for that era too. For playing, just having a very unique face, you know. Is he like the William Dafoe of our time? Or their time? I guess William Dafoe is the Peter Lorre. Because that's why I always think of William Dafoe. Like he's one of my favorite actors because he just has such a unique face, and his is more about the cheekbones and his like
his crazy eyes.
Also the eyes though, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's like how would you even like if you tried to describe their face as someone who was blind, you would have a hard time.
Yeah.
It's like how do you describe William Dafoe?
I love how you said that because that literally applies to M too, the ending of M. Because guess how they find him?
Yeah.
What the blind man.
It's by a blind man that has to use sound to find him. You know.
Bro, I knew that was gonna come back the moment I heard the whistling at the beginning. I was like, "This is gonna be how he's caught 100%." This blind man.
Damn, have you not seen this before?
No.
What?
I've never seen him.
Have you seen this before?
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy.
You haven't seen him before?
No.
Holy shit! I was assuming you had seen it before. Damn.
Fuck.
That's crazy.
Like you just didn't care about like Fritz Lang. Like you're like, oh, I can skip over him.
No, I just never got around to it. I don't know why. I honestly don't.
So you haven't seen Rancho Notorious either.
I have not seen Rancho Notorious. I've seen some Lang.
Oh, you've seen Metropolis.
Yes, I have seen Metropolis. That one was another one that took me a long ass time to get to, and I was like, why did I wait to get to Metropolis, man?
You're gonna feel that way about Rancho Notorious. Everyone should feel that way.
Well, I'm glad because this actually relates to where we're at right now, because this is the passage we're talking about for Lang. Because he says, what's the real duel for Lang of this film? It's his duel between expressionism and this cinema of realism, the cinema of action. Or you could say between his era of Metropolis versus his era of Rancho Notorious that comes later.
Moonfleet.
I mean, even later, like You Only Live Once is just slightly later, the one I just watched this week too, with Henry Fonda.
That one, Rivette really likes that one.
Interesting. Honestly, I think Nicolas Ray does it better.
I agree.
Oh, you've seen You Only Live Once? Okay.
I watched Prison.
I just kept thinking of that. I was like, damn, I need to watch that.
I think Rivette wrote a review on it.
Mention it?
I think he wrote a whole review for it.
Who did?
Rivette.
Okay.
I think so. I think that's why I watched it.
I can see him. This part, I just don't like the second half as much. Like, I love the first half, but that's a different story. No, but basically that's where we're at. Because, like, this is where he says, this is the film where, like, this is basically his last gasp of expressionism. Peter Lorre, this character. And let me just read what he says. Because he says, because he's comparing Peter Lorre's impulses versus the kind of logic of action of the underworld, right? Because how are they defending themselves? As he says, and the underworld answers him and they say, don't you see that you just condemned yourself? Don't you see that that's why we can't tolerate you? Because we are businessmen. We don't kill from an impulse. We kill, and when we kill out of interest, it's clear. In other words, Lang is already making an American cinema. He's already in the world of American film noir. We kill out of interest. It's understood. That is to say, we don't care about impulses. What we care about is the system of action. And basically, he's saying this is the duel of the film. Like the underworld. This is the new Lang. This new kind of American cinema that he's going to. How the characters explain their behaviors. And then he says M is condemned as the bearer of the expressionist affect. The one that they've left behind. And that's why I say it's even still true. Like, this is why people say when they go back and watch expressionism, it's like, oh, it's just the acting. It's just so stylistic. It's not, realistic. A lot of people use that kind of word. It's funny is people even say that about the American cinema that Deleuze is calling it realism. You know.
Yeah.
It's in a way we've even become like even more kind of like in that way, but yeah. This is maybe the last point I'll mention. He says he says it might be possible to contrive a history of cinema based on the real duel that haunts each great filmmaker. And that reminds me of what you said about Oshima.
No, for sure.
Know? It's like a lot of directors have said this, where like Renoir probably has some quote where like every director makes the same film over and over again.
I mean, Fellini has his obvious duel.
Yes.
Yes. Rhett kind of has one.
Yes.
I think of directors who have a shift in their career. It's like,
yes,
you could say,
or like multiple duels that they might have. You know.
Yeah.
That they always come back to.
Damn.
But yeah, that's at least a large form related to him. We might bring it up in the movie at least some point. We've already talked about honestly a lot of the parts of the movie already.
Yeah.
But M specifically, what do you guys think?
I loved it. It was a great movie.
I'm surprised this is your first one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have no excuse for why I didn't get to this earlier.
This is like I feel like this is like one of the first
it's one of the first
old
I heard
foreign
about.
movies you like hear about and watch. That was what it was for me.
It's one of the first I heard about, but it's not one of the first.
Do you think
watched,
it's a good film for that?
For
like a first timer coming to.
I think it's cool. I think it's fine.
Yes.
I think it's.
I would actually agree with that, because sometimes I'm like, why are you showing this? Like, that's why I honestly think Citizen Kane's kind of a bad film. Like, this to me is a better film to show someone of early cinema than Citizen Kane.
Yeah, I would agree. Actually, yeah.
Just the subject matter, like the subject matter feels so modern to me.
Yes,
in this film,
for sure.
Like you know how I told you earlier this year I went on a serial killer movie kick, where I was just watching.
Your serial killer kick, you called it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely the exact words you said. Wasn't like a mood or anything, right? Right?
People know that. We're always talking about the film.
Yeah, totally. Although, okay, when you say it's like modern or whatever, what do you mean?
I mean more like a modern viewer can watch this film,
like people
and feel like they're actually watching something that could come out now or something.
People at our work would probably enjoy this movie because of the subject matter.
Okay, yeah, the kind of true crime.
Yeah,
even though they might like, this is my thing, like with all, they'll just say it's too slow or it's like too boring.
You're always gonna have that
because there is like, this is what I love about the film, but there's also, you don't see very much you don't see any killing really on screen.
Yeah.
There's no mystery of who did it. You know, they're not like, we already know who did it from the very beginning.
Yeah.
You do have a lot of tension just of waiting, though. Obviously,
yes.
At least with the first one.
Yes. No, there's definitely tension in the film, but like I said, it's almost the tension between these like kind of duels he's talking about between the
for sure.
Like you said, the film is not about the main character in a way.
No,
it's about the society that's impacting him. You know. Is there anything else you had on it that stands out?
I mean, Peter Lorre's obviously amazing. Just the look of this movie is just fantastic. Like, I think like the opening shot has that shadow shot of him just looking at the girl or whatever, just a silhouette on the wall, and I was like, oh my god.
Like, to me, that even fits this Deleuze interpretation I just said about the that's like the expressionism creeping in. You know, that's like a very expressionistic shot. You know?
It is.
Like every time you see him, like he says. Condemned to the expressionistic affect.
Yes, but I read the essay before watching the movie, so I knew what to expect whenever it came to the cops and underworld part, especially the scene that he talks about specifically in the essay or in the lecture. The part I think that you already mentioned too, whenever they're flipping back and forth, because that scene was fucking amazing too. But I do like the just slow realization that this guy has that he's being followed. Like, he's the one being targeted now. It's not like him targeting children, because like I know I said earlier I don't even know if I consider Peter Lorre a main character because of how little he's in the movie actually. Like, honestly,
but I think you're 100% right about that's something the director's trying to go for.
Yes,
it's about more the society's reaction to.
Yes, because the main characters are the cops in the underground to me, because they're the ones trying to solve this situation, I guess you would say, but.
And this is the sense of justice.
Yes.
You know, like, is it even right what they're doing?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I don't know. What about you, Luke? You said second time watching now?
Second time.
You said first time was like homework watch?
I guess the time kind of, maybe. I remember it looking really interesting.
It does. Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily say it's that, but yeah, very, 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 very good movie. I mean, one thing I guess we really haven't brought up yet is like, it's kind of a cool mixture of like expressionism, but like with documentary kind of aspects of it. It's like a cool mix. You know.
I mean, that's where he's saying the cinema of action. You know.
Yeah.
With the underworld, he like cast real criminals for a lot of these for like the underground scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
There's like lore. I don't like. Lang was also known to like kind of like embellish his stories, like a lot of directors.
Never mind. No.
You want to explain that one?
You want to explain that?
No. We continue. Let's continue on. What you always say.
Damn, what was I saying?
You said
there's a lore. There's like a story of him like hiring all these criminals, and then he told the cops where the criminals would be, so they could come and arrest them. That's the only way they would let him do the scene. But then he told the cops the wrong time, so when they got there, everyone was gone. That sounds almost too good to be true. But
they arrest Fritz Lang now because
that would be crazy though. The cops said, "Yeah, we'll
this
do
was
it
a very risky time for him because this is literally. I think this is the movie he makes before he leaves Germany.
Oh yeah, they're like
the Nazis
they're kind of up to no good.
Yeah, the Nazis.
Hot take, guys.
And
we don't support that type of stuff
because a lot of people think that's what this film is about is like the underworld being related to the Nazis in terms of like this kind of mob justice.
They're the police.
Yeah, this mob mentality.
Yeah,
you know.
I've been reading some stuff about Nazi Germany recently. It's kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah.
No context or
learning.
I was in a Nazi no. I was in sometimes I just get hyperfixated on World War II. It's just like a thing.
Also,
you said that like that's weird. It was like the most normal white guy thing.
Yeah. I was like
exactly.
Usually though, it's like conservative white guys.
We've all been through those.
No, it's not only conservative.
I feel like a lot of times it is.
That's just because that's who you know.
Plus, wasn't FDR the one that was president during World War II, right?
Yeah.
Like,
he died like near the end.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Harry Truman was the one that dropped the bomb.
But he was also. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I'm saying that's why a lot of FDR is one of the liberal favorite presidents. So.
Yeah.
He's seen as a hero in that respect.
He's like our most socialist president, but it's like not saying much.
Yeah, it's very, very low bar.
Yeah, very. Anyway.
But yeah, to go back to is there anything else that you remember about it? Did you like it more this time?
I remember the trial scene being really good.
I mean, that's my favorite scene in the movie.
Like that. I remember like when I watched for the trial, I was like, "Damn, this is crazy." I wonder if I still have this.
I mean, do you remember another film that kind of has this kind of vibe to it?
Of like what, like the.
What,
it's a film justice? you're gonna roast me for mentioning it, but.
Mob Justice that we're gonna roast you from.
Oh, I know what he's gonna bring up. I don't even want to say it. I know what he's gonna bring up.
I don't know what
say
it
it.
is.
2012 movie, right?
Say the film.
I'm not gonna say this.
Say the film.
No,
movie?
No, I'm not gonna be the one to bring. I'm not gonna be the one to bring this. It's a movie from 2012.
That doesn't help me that much, honestly. I'm not gonna lie.
Christopher Nolan.
Wait, what movie did he direct in 2012?
Think about it, Blake.
I feel like people listening definitely know.
Inception? I don't know. Is that the one?
The one I bring up all the time. Dark Knight Rises.
No.
The mob justice scene in that one.
That was so far away from my mind.
We now have a list of movies. M. Pison that Danny brought up the scene from Dark Knight Rises.
Well, I'm also about to bring up the Dark Knight too because
that's another list.
No, because I'm actually thinking Nolan was thinking about this film. Like he must like this film a lot.
He likes Fritz Lang a lot.
Damn, I fucking knew it. Because do
knew that.
you remember? It's a great scene in The Dark Knight when the criminals meet because they're like, we are not able to operate our business now.
Yeah.
Like I'm like he must have stole that idea from M because this bat. But the cops are also trying to chase the same guy that's stopping their situation. You could say.
Yeah.
You know. So it's like, damn, Nolan must have. I didn't know he was a Lang fan.
In his Criterion Top 10, he has The Testament of Dr. Mabuse.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Is that the silent one? Or is it sound?
No, it's sound.
No. Because I think there's a silent one too. Came out in the 20s. Also by Fritz Lang.
But
I feel like I've heard him talk about it before. That's what I'm trying to look up. But anyway.
But maybe before we get at least some stuff in the movie, I read this. Fritz Lang basically wrote an article years later defending the movie because like a lot of people thought like he was endorsing the serial killer and stuff, and he basically said his idea at the time. Oh, and I should have. Actually, I'll mention it in a second. His idea, because he wrote this with his ex-wife, or it was his wife at the time, who ended up becoming a Nazi when he left outside of Germany. I guess she ended up staying.
Damn.
But so that's also just a crazy part of this movie.
Hate when wifey becomes a Nazi.
But he said their goal was to make a film based on just factual reports at the time, because there were a lot of basically a lot of these kind of serial killers that were going around in Germany, which is just that makes it that's another kind of very modern part of this movie where people are like, that's why they like serial killer movies, because there's always some recent serial killer you can find, read about too, that the true crime aspect of it, And I just because they mentioned, do you remember, they mentioned two names in the film. They mentioned these guys named Grossman and Harmon that were also apparently
two of the most German names you'll ever hear in your entire life. Grossman. Especially the way they say it. But this guy was a butcher arrested in 1921 for killing several prostitutes and selling their flesh on the black market. Damn!
Jesus.
Lock this dude up.
Fritz Harmon, known as the Butcher of Hanover, convicted of killing 24 victims and died by guillotine. I'm pretty sure he also sold their flesh too.
What the fuck?
But this is the chief.
Was there a market for this? Like, damn.
If I remember right, like
people were buying this shit. Were they like,
I feel like there are old horror stories or something.
What were they doing with it? Why are people buying it though?
Flesh, obviously.
No, they would sell it not as like people. They wouldn't know. The people buying it,
they wouldn't know
it's human.
That's even worse.
That's why they're fucking serial killers.
Yeah.
These are not logical people.
These guys are kind of messed up.
The real thing is, don't buy meat off the black market.
I wasn't planning on it, so I'm glad I got that advice from you today.
You're welcome.
Now I know not to buy black meat off the black market.
Don't buy black market beef.
Black market beef?
Black market beef.
It sounded like you said black market beef. Black market beef.
Anyway. Then a lot of people think that actually the main guy this was based on was this other third guy named Peter Kurten. 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 I don't know how to say that.
What is this guy's atrocities?
Well, they called him the Vampire of Dusseldorf.
Bro,
so we have the Butcher of Hanover.
Vampire of Dusseldorf? Dusseldorf? That's
but it's not funny after I mentioned he killed nine murderers, including sexual assaults and murders of young girls.
Damn.
Dusseldorf though? That's funny as fuck.
Why is that a vampire though?
Vampire of Dusseldorf.
He must have been doing some crazy. I think I didn't go into too much, but he was doing some crazy shit too.
Vampire of Dusseldorf is like.
And this guy's case was coming out like I think he got convicted like 3 months after this movie came out. So and like.
So he might have watched the movie and been like, "Damn, I see me. That's me right there."
Lang might have.
That's Lang right there.
Lang might have wanted that.
Oh damn!
Because he was like I was about to mention. Like, look, what Lang writes in that article is the goal of the film was to base it on factual reports at the time. And he goes on this like let me read the quote where he says because he talks about the miracles we experience in our everyday lives, and he says the miracles we experience in our everyday lives have caught up to the 1001 tales of. I don't know how to say this word, but it's basically it must be some German kind of 1001 tales like what's the one in the Middle East? That's
Arabian Nights? Yes,
like something like that. I'm assuming he says. He says the miracles of our everyday life have caught up to those tales, where he says, like if you ask any normal European, would they rather take a winged horse or a racing car? How many would choose the winged horse over a racing car? Or if you ask them to take a flying carpet over an airplane, who would choose the flying carpet over an airplane?
Me.
At least back then it was new to them.
Oh, okay.
In the 30s.
I'd be like, flying carpet.
Plus, I mean, just practically, who's choosing the fucking flying carpet over an airplane?
I mean, a flying
There's more of a chance to aura farm with the matching carpet.
Until you're getting cold as fuck up there.
Why not just fly low to the ground?
Because I think part of it is also this idea of like...
Checkmate, liberals.
It's almost like a deeper point of this idea of like this magical world of like... magical carpets and stuff have come to like real reality, where you can actually film an airplane or a car,
Wait, is the scenario become an airplane?
No, he said, would someone rather take an airplane or a flying carpet? You know,
okay, yeah.
Because those old stories have flying carpets and winged horses, but most people today would actually choose these inventions we actually have. You know, because he says you only have to keep your eyes open for what's around you. All the newspapers report human tragedies and comedies, anomalies and universalities on a daily basis, and these reports are so fantastic, so accidental and romantic, that no dramaturge for a big corporation would dare to suggest such material, lest he be confronted with a resounding chorus of derisive laughter at the improbable chance or kitschy conflicts. That's life. So I thought it fitting to reflect the rhythm of our times, to make objectivity the age in which we are living, and to make a film based entirely on factual reports. And that's why this film, watching it this time, it reminded me, and that idea reminded me of a Bresson film that he said something very similar about. With The Man Escaped. Because that was based on true stories. Like, I was just basically filming, I want to film factual events, that's it, you know. And that's why this film feels, like you said, there's a very documentary feel to a lot of it. And honestly, you could say it started a lot of these kind of documentary techniques that later the serial killer movies would do. You know, with like the investigations and like the fingerprint analysis and stuff like that. Newspaper, 100% the
Vengeance.
newspapers.
I'm thinking like Vengeance is Mine, Trap.
To me, at least the one everyone probably listening to this has seen is Zodiac. Like, there's so much Zodiac in this film.
Monsieur Trudeau?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, 100%. Yeah, no, I think that definitely works. And then I love this one thing he says in the essay is, he said he also, one of the reports that he actually read was the underworld he read a report that the underworld started to look for some criminal on their own because they didn't trust the cops, and that's where he got the idea of the criminal underworld starting their own kind of mob justice. And he's like, he lived in constant fear the whole film that someone else was going to take the idea before he was, because it was such a good cinematic idea.
I mean, that is a very good cinematic idea.
Like, and he's right. Like, that's why I just mentioned with like Nolan. Like, it's like one of the great scenes in the Dark Knight. You know.
It's like I feel like that's talked about a lot in cinema, but not shown that well a lot. Also. Yeah. And it's like these criminals that have their own code of conduct and stuff like that. Yes. Their own system of how to survive. Yes. But
and why we're interested in that kind
their
of...
Their own laws.
You know, like, that's, like, you know, Scorsese's filmography, a lot of it. You know, that interest in the... Or even Coppola, the interest in that kind of underworld or gangster world or something like that. Yeah. You know? But then... So, and also, especially this time watching it, to me, it became clear that this is an anti-capital punishment film. In terms of, like...
Definitely anti-capital punishment.
Like, in a film that kept coming to my head is A Clockwork Orange. In terms of, at the beginning of the film, you see a guy that's you hate, you know. But then he shows you a world or an authority that's actually, like, do you want to actually believe in this authority that's actually punishing this guy that you hate, you know? To where almost the guy becomes sympathetic at the end. Yeah. Because of how much you don't believe in this mob justice or whatever that's actually happening to him, you know? Yeah.
Well, also was a thing, too, that, like, the Nazis were very, very pro-death penalty.
Well, I mean, obviously.
Or pro-capital punishment.
100%. That's what a lot of readings of this film is about. Because Lang never specifically mentioned this Nazism with this film. Also, he was trying to get by the censors of Nazism at the time.
When did this movie come out?
31.
Okay, so this is like 3 years before Night of the Long Knives.
Which film?
So it's a day in German history called Night of the Long Knives. There's a depiction of it in the Mussolini movie The Damned. Because it's about this like family during the rise of the Nazi regime. Basically, you can look it up. It's like this one night where basically Hitler had like tons of his like political opponents and like allies like murdered. It was something like, it was like crazy. It was like 30, 40 or something. And like a lot of people also arrested. Also like reporters and stuff. It was just like a lot of like, it was this one night basically.
Damn.
Where they all get like murdered. It was crazy.
Damn.
No, but the reasoning of the anti-capitalist thing is literally the reasoning that I used at jury duty to not be on the jury, because they were wanting to do capital punishment. And I was like, I don't think humans don't deserve to take other humans' lives. I'm sorry, that's not my place. Like,
and so one of the lawyers, probably the prosecuting side, didn't want you there anymore or something. Or?
No. Once I had like zero, they were
like, between 85 and 100 people were killed. And apparently it was actually like 3 nights.
Wow.
apparently.
Knights of the Long Knife.
But yeah, basically, like, it was crazy.
No, yeah, okay, to keep going where I was, because the reason I mentioned the anti-capital punishment was apparently Lang was also inspired by, I haven't heard of this guy before, his name was Cesar Lombroso, who was a theoretician.
Amazing name.
Lombroso.
Fire name.
If I'm saying that right. But he apparently had this adage that almost sounds like Renoirian, where he says, quote, "There are no criminals, only crimes," unquote. And you could say, like, that's the idea of, like, where he said, like, there's like a speech name where, like, you take a sick man to a doctor, not to prison or something, or something like that.
Yeah.
You know? And it's almost like Lang is, like, even for this, like, child murderer, you know, is basically saying this guy's sick, not like he doesn't deserve a mob justice kind of a death, you know.
Well, because to be pro capital punishment, I do really feel like the people have to believe that the person they're killing is not an actual human.
Yeah.
Because they say that obviously in this movie, like, he's not a human, he's an animal.
Yeah.
Whenever the lawyer says that, and I mean, like.
Well, actually, to go back to, like, I wrote this paper a few years ago on capital punishment, and, like, we basically had to do, like, a pro or against, and I had to do, like, it was during it was the end of Trump's first term, like, after he'd already known he lost, but him as the attorney general, just basically because they had the power to do it, they just started executing a lot of people that were on death row for years.
Yeah.
And there were even stories of, like, families of the family that was killed, of the guy that was killed, they were trying to stop the execution from happening. They had, like, whole, like, stuff, like, begging, like, the attorney general. I forgot this guy's fucking name. But, like, they were just like, no, we're doing it anyway. You know, just basically because they could. You know, like, it's just so arbitrary, the reason they were able to use this power, you know. It wasn't anything truly justice-wise. It was, like, just guys, like, trying to use their power because they could before they left office, you know. And it's just insane. Like, people are just dying because of that. It's like, this is the system we're supposed to trust of, like, killing the right people, you know?
This
it's
is like,
it's
Death by
insane.
Hang. Sorry, Oshima's Death by Hang has this great quote in it where he's like, "What is a nation? Show me a nation, and then I'll let you execute me," basically, because that's what they're saying this execution's for, is for the nation.
Yes. It's like this is who we're supposed to trust, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why, to me, capital punishment is wrong. Like, even if in the abstract, like, yes, if there was some perfect person to do the killing, there are people that I feel like deserve to die almost, you know, like child rapists and child murderers and
Elon
just, like,
Musk.
a lot of people. I mean, yeah. But, like, at the end of the day, the bigger point is, like, no, there's no one right on earth to really do it, you know? Like, what country do we trust to actually commit the capital punishment?
Yeah.
Especially, if we believe this quote, there are no criminals, only crimes. In a way, society, this kind of centers of action, as Deleuze would say, that actually impacts people's behaviors. That's what's kind of driving them in a way, you know? Environment. It's not... People are driven by their environments in a lot of ways, you know, even from very young ages. I think that's why, I mean, even I just think about Buñuel again with, like, something like Los Olvidados. I always think about that film.
Yeah.
Of, like... Yes, the kids are bad in that film, but... Like, the whole point of that film is because the kids aren't bad in themselves, you know? They're created by their environment and a huge part of who they are, you know? Yeah. And before we maybe talk about some stuff in the film, apparently the first person to cast Peter Lorre was Brecht in one of his plays in, like, 1929.
The fuck?
Called Pioneers in Ingolstadt.
This guy has an insane, like...
And that's where Lang saw him.
Not
and knew that he wanted him to use him in M, which was his first major film credit.
Was he the only, like, major film person that ever acted for Brecht?
I don't know. Brecht was pretty popular at the time. That's a good question.
Really?
I don't know much about his career. I just know how influential he is on a lot of filmmakers later on.
I know that Cocteau hung out with Brecht, so I wonder if he used anyone from his plays.
I mean, that makes sense.
Which film actors?
But then there's also this reminds me of how we talked about John Ford, where Goebbels saw this film. He was
the serial killer.
No, Hitler's right hand.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know how to say the name exactly. It's Goebbels, right, or Goebbels, or
Yeah, Goebbels.
I don't because there's no R in the word in like the how you say it, but I mean how it's spelled. It's Goebbels. What is it, Goebbels or Goebbels?
Oh, I can't remember how to say it.
I can't remember. But people know who we're talking about.
Yes, they do.
He wrote in his diary after watching the film that M was, quote, against humanitarian sentimentality and was for the death penalty. So when he watched the film, he thought it was actually pro-death penalty.
Interesting.
That's what like made me think of John Ford, where you were talking about something like Fort Apache, where someone could have watched it and just have a totally different interpretation.
Charles Lawton apparently worked with Brecht.
That's crazy.
When he was alive. Apparently Fritz Lang did in some capacity as well. G.W. Pabst, the film director.
Okay, I've heard of Pabst.
Apparently he did at some point. Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, honestly, the film we can start to go through it. Like, it starts with the kids, like singing this song at this very high angle shot, like extremely high angles.
It's a dark ass song they're singing.
Dark song, but it's kind of joyful.
Sure.
No, but it's definitely filmed dark. But mainly what I love about these opening shots are how smoothly the camera passes from one character to the next. It goes from like from the kids to like this woman that's walking up the stairs, to then a different woman that's waiting in the house for her child to come back. And it just like it's so easily the camera just so simply moves from scene to scene. You don't really notice, And then I only noticed this because someone wrote it in one of the reviews that apparently like the book she gets delivered to her is the thoroughly new chapter of a crime serial. So it's almost just kind of commenting on what's about to happen to her, almost like a joke, But then this is where it cuts to the. It's like we already know what's going to happen, It's like right when she says when the whistling. What line she says? Oh yeah, as long as we can hear them singing, at least we know they're still here. Yeah. Then the whistling stops, and we see her waiting for her child. Like, oh fuck,
Yep.
So then it cuts to this girl being followed, and that's when we get the great shadow shot of Peter Lorre.
Is that like the most famous shot for the movie, right?
No, the M definitely has to be the most famous. On his back, whenever he's looking in the mirror, that has to be the most famous.
That's where the title came from in the film.
But still, that shadow shot is like super famous, though.
Well, I love that shot.
I mean, that shadow shot's amazing.
It might be a better shot just like graphically, like how it looks.
Yeah, because like the text on the thing, like the poster.
The text on the poster. I love how
the shadow's crazy.
How when we're introduced him, we still haven't seen his face. We don't see his face for a while after this.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
And then also, I've seen a few people mention this. Like, this is one of the first examples in film history of leitmotif being used in sound wise, with the with the killer's whistle. It's one of the first examples of basically a kind of motif being attached to a character.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where every time
like
you
a
see
theme song or something. Yeah.
It's because this is early sound cinema.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely felt early sound because there are great stretches of this movie where I was like, did my sound just turn off, or is it not working, or is it is it supposed to be silent?
Apparently, Lang was actually one of the last German directors to go to sound. He made even a couple films before, like even the sound era that were still silent. Like I think Woman on the Moon. Have you seen on that one?
Woman on the Moon? No.
I think that's the title. I don't remember the title, but yeah, I still need to watch some of those. But my favorite part of this is like when he shows how we know the killing happens. Do you remember?
The newspaper, right?
Well, before that, to me, it's like
the mom keeps on looking at the clock and she's not coming home.
And then the shots we get right after that.
Oh, the ball rolling.
Basically, frame. I call it like a montage of empty frames.
Yeah.
Where there's like just these like kind of like these shots with no people in them, and they're kind of eerie, and then it ends with the shot of like the electrical pole, and you see the balloon float away that he had bought earlier to lure the girl. And that's how we know, almost like Lubitchian in terms of like showing the killing by not showing the killing.
It's true.
Like showing other parts. And this is where we get, he writes the note to the police. Some great kind of honestly, we're already getting this kind of rhythmic montage that Deleuze talks about, where we cut from basically different people being suspicious. You know, it's basically this kind of society that's suspicious of everyone now. The cops are talking about how we have to treat any man on the street could be a murderer. You know,
yeah,
so
because I think the cops are having their round table or whatever, and one of them's like, "Why don't we just go for the underground?" He's like, "This could be anyone. Like, it could be any upstanding citizen."
Yep. No. My favorite part of this scene, like, I feel bad for this guy because he's so goofy looking. The fucking guy that they all think is they all like attack him because they think he's a child murderer. Is this glasses guy just like helping this girl out? You know? Yeah. She's like, "Why are you asking where she lives?" Like, or something like that. And he's like, "What?" He's like so confused. But that's when he then gets mad. See, this feels so. This is like you can see this in a serial killer movie today, where like the serial killer gets mad because the cops don't print his message that he wants printed, so he goes straight to the press instead. You know. And that's when we get this kind of montage of the police kind of looking for him. And this is where we see M's face for the first time. Because it shows us like this handwriting expert. This is also in Zodiac too, a handwriting expert.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to analyze his handwriting based on to see what kind of person he is and stuff. Whatever they can get. Yeah. And there's this guy on the radio basically describing his qualities. You know. And that's where it cuts to M's face.
Yeah.
And so this is where there's moments like this where like you can tell Lang is really trying to think about how to use sound, and the way he's doing it is by basically not matching the sound with the image. So the sound is coming from somewhere else. You know, you can tell like this is just basically brand new. You know, how do you have a sound from somewhere else matching like now this description?
Matching what we're seeing.
Yes, right. Because previously you would have to just show an inner title or something and then show the person. You know. Yeah. But he's like he's finding unique ways of using the sound. But then he cuts the maybe one of my favorite silent shots in the film, where you really notice the silence is when the police are raiding for the first time.
Yeah.
This is where like
whenever I literally went back off my TV and was like, is my sound actually working like right now? But
yes. And the reason why I love bringing up like how this was early sound is and especially this scene really reminded me of this quote of Bresson says this. Bresson has a great quote where he says, "quote The soundtrack invented silence," and I love that because that's where this movie becomes so silent, right? We know this is a sound film, so now the silent hits so much harder.
It does,
right? We're like if you're watching a pure silent film, what we call now, we only call it now. Like they weren't calling silent films on like that. It was just films for them, you know. But now the silent film becomes something because the soundtrack was invented, you know. And then the sound enters as the cops appear. Actually, notice they actually enter the place. You know, but it's like such an interesting way to like kind of, just basically make the silence hit so much harder. And then we see the people complaining,
which is fair.
Yeah, they
cops raiding all the time would definitely.
The cops are basically they're infringing on their rights. You know, we see what they're doing to the underworld. They even call out a guy for his fake passport or something he has, or fake identification papers. There's even a great shot of like all the stuff the cops took away. Like it pans across all the stuff they fucking confiscated, you know. But then this is where we get the kind of first meeting of at least the underworld, where they come up with this plan of they say it's a safecracker. I'm pretty sure they call him a safecracker, if I remember right.
Yeah, he's a safecracker, the leader or whatever.
And I kind of like that, because this is actually another kind of Lubischian thing I noticed, where, like, if he's trying to compare Laurie as the kind of impulsive, you know, bad villain, you know, he does things for the wrong reason. The safecracker is kind of like a classy villain, you know, he's kind of he's a very job-like person. It almost sounds like a job. Like, that's why he's trusted, you know, because safecracker, it still takes a lot of skill.
Safecracker is a legitimate job, too, because people do actually, they do need a locksmith. So.
There you go. Yeah, basically a safecracker is a locksmith.
Yeah, that's basically all it is. So.
Yeah. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a very job-like aspect to his job, you know, versus kind of Laurie that's seen as just, like, an impulsive kind of person, you know. Listen, this is where you could say... He starts speaking about their situation. You know, he describes... he literally is like... You could say in losing terms, he's describing their situation. Like,
you could say he's describing Batman. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. You said it, not me. You said
Batman is a fascist, right? Though, right?
Ooh, yes. Kind of, yeah.
where he says,
He's a billionaire too, so
even worse.
Billionaire fascist.
And he even starts talking about this, like, this is supposed to be, job-like between us and the cops, where he says, when I run head-on into an officer from the squad, he knows the potential risks, and so do I. If either dies in line of duty, fine. Occupational hazard. But we must draw a firm line between ourselves and this man they're looking for. We conduct our business in order to survive. This monster has no right to survive.
Just the first dehumanizing aspect, for sure.
100%. And basically saying, this is our actions are logical.
Yes.
They're business-like, as Deleuze says. And then this is where we get the kind of, maybe the best example of this kind of montage of rhyming action that Deleuze talks about, where it cuts from the literally mid-speech where they're talking about their plan to the cops all of a sudden also talking about what they need to do to catch him. And the cop gives this great, basically hating on the public, where he says, most of the public still takes this position, quote-unquote, how does this concern me? The idea that each individual is responsible for what happens to the poorest, most anonymous child on the street hasn't even dawned on the public image at large. On the public at large. And then he...
Which that's also fair, and that's also kind of relevant.
Yeah.
Just to today, too.
He's right, exactly. Especially this kind of mob mentality. Lang is very clear to make it, like, the reason why the underworld wants to catch him is because he's impacting their lives, their business.
Yeah.
It's not because they're doing any like remote sense of justice, really.
They're not trying to protect the good names of criminals.
And this is where we get the great plans from both sides.
Yeah.
The cops have their own plan, and then their ideas. He must already have been in the system somehow, in some insane asylum already, and we let him out. So we need to go search who has been let out recently that can match or something.
Who's been let out is not harm to society anymore or something.
But I feel like the criminal plan is kind of cooler.
The criminal plan is smarter too, because this is just a great plan. Just get the beggars to look for him.
Yes.
Like, damn.
Yes. Is it the Matrix that has
the network? Wait, what?
Is it the Matrix that has like homeless like spies or something? What film is it? John Wick. There's some kind of film that has
it's a John Wick movie, I think.
That has like the beggars or like the homeless people that's like actually
they're like doing
I feel like this happens in a lot of movies, honestly, not just John Wick, but maybe not.
I remember that happening in a John Wick movie.
It makes sense. I got Matrix confused with it, but
why? They're not really that similar.
They're kind of similar vibes.
Like how?
Reeves?
Yeah, okay, that's what it is.
Oh.
And the action too. Like they're both action. So,
way different action though.
Yeah, they both have action in it.
The Wachowskis are way different than.
There's a gun in each of them.
What's the guy that's John Wick? I don't remember his name.
There's also this overarching world that we're trying to figure out what's going on. This kind of conspiracy.
In John Wick?
Yeah.
I thought it was just
Assassin World, especially the sequels.
I thought he was just getting revenge, with
in the sequels
for his dog or whatever.
That was the first one. Yeah.
There's something about a pencil.
Have you not seen the other one?
Something about pencil.
Have you seen the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you've seen
the first one ends, I think, with the tease of a bigger assassin world, or maybe that was the second one or the third one. I can't remember. They all are kind of the same, which is fine.
But okay, gotta get back to film. Now we get some kind of just scenes of the criminals, the homeless people actually, watching. But my favorite little part of this section is this is like another classic cliche serial killer movie scene, is when a cop comes to a house to search, but they don't want like the maid or the woman there to know. So like they'll be acting like, oh, I'm just a normal cop, and then when the person leaves, I have to go take a phone call in the other room. They'll start looking around the room for clues all of a sudden, and then when they come back, they're like, oh no, I'm just a normal cop.
It's cliche. I kind of like it.
I know this has to be one of the first times this happened.
Yeah.
Because even have you seen The House that Jack Built?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That one kind of inverts this scene, where he's a serial killer, and there's a cop coming. And so he's like trying to like think about everything the cop would look for. And so he's trying to hide He's trying to hide like these blood spots that are on the ground, like using like the items in the house and stuff. So basically thinking from like the opposite side of the cop's view. It's kind of funny. And then the cop does come, but no, that was just like a little moment, another moment. I feel like there's so many serial killer movies. And then we get the scene of maybe the closest we get to actual like action in terms of him chasing someone or something is like when he sees that girl in the reflection.
Yeah. This one's
at the
crazy.
Because you think, oh, here's another killing, and the way he's teasing it is almost like funny. Where there's that store window with the arrow pointing directly down at the girl.
First off, that's
and there's
a
like
great
a hypnotist kind of like.
That's a great ass store too.
Yeah, it is.
That's like similar to the shot in Pickpocket, where it's the carousel and the reflection.
But this one is like
or
so
the merry-go-round
obvious
in the reflection.
Where it's trying to tease you, like, oh, this girl's about to die. Like the arrows.
But it's almost like, but you see the reflection of the tick.
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a similar shot, like the
reflection
in the window.
I mean, I fucking love that shot in Pickpocket.
Yeah.
This one, I think he's trying to almost play it as a joke. He's teasing you, like, oh, you think this girl's about to die, and then the mom just comes into the end.
It's like, come on, honey.
Yeah, she come on.
And then all these other kids start coming too.
And that's when he
starts watching.
He gets mad and he just goes to a cafe and starts whistling really loudly, almost like in anger. It seems like. That's where this is where it almost makes sense. This kind of impulse. He almost seems like an animal like that didn't catch his prey.
Yeah. Okay.
Now he's like mad about it. He's like going back and like he's like mad about it almost. But then there's a quick scene of like the officers knowing that he smokes Ayrton cigarettes because of the search the guy did earlier. But then this is where the criminal basically gets caught by the beggars. Is the blind man hears the whistle. Okay, so now we're at the scene where the blind man.
No cuts. No cuts. We don't cut this podcast.
Where the blind man recognizes the murderer.
How many times have you said that?
Okay, they're laughing because I've messed this up multiple times, and the podcast stopped recording randomly at one point.
Yeah, it's all Dave's fault.
But this is a good scene to come at. Basically,
it's true.
Even though this is only on my notes, basically at the 57-minute mark, so there's still like an hour left to go in this movie. But he's caught right now, or at least we
I
know.
didn't realize there was still an hour left after this scene.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Because this is where he's recognized for the first time. He's technically not caught yet.
Yeah, because they keep on following him, obviously.
Yes. But like I said, I was going to say, like how we just talked about, Deleuze talks about one way to read this film is Lang's passage from Expressionism to American Realism. You could also say this is him kind of the passage from silent to sound. Because the way the killer's found is not even through sight, It's through sound itself, something like you couldn't even do in the silent era,
It's true.
And then, like we see this great kind of following of this the guy that hears the blind man goes and tells a different homeless guy that's part of this network. He starts following M, and this great moment where he writes he takes the chalk on his hand, writes the M, and then goes and lays the hand on his shoulder.
He marks him.
Just a great moment, and like
I always thought, it's M for murder. Technically,
for murder, probably.
But it could also easily just be like marked, like he's marked now.
So. Wait, and Hitchcock has dial in for murder.
He does have dial in for murder.
Hitchcock definitely must like this movie.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
He used Peter Lorre.
I'm pretty sure it's his movie
the first one.
After this.
Yeah, it was the one that he did. He remade. Also.
Oh yeah, 39 Steps. That's the second time we.
Wait, is that 39 Steps?
Peter Lorre in that one?
The Man Who Did Something. What was that?
Oh,
what was that
Man Who Knew Too Much?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
the Man Who Knew Too Much.
Yeah.
He might. Is he also in 39 Steps?
He's not.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
I was really excited. I was like, wait, is it the second time we mentioned it today? Like, what the hell?
No, The Man Who Knew Too Much. Yeah, that one.
But to kind of relate back to the kind of rhyming and montage we get in this film, both groups find him at the same time, using their various methods. Right?
Yes.
They find him with the Beggars Network, and the cops find him using the window ledge.
Yeah.
They realize his writing is from the window ledge. His weird writing is not from his own kind of personality.
Not from the desk, yeah.
Or like, remember they're reading to his personality because of his handwriting?
Yeah.
But it's like, it ends up not being true at all because he's using just this window ledge, and that's why his handwriting looks weird,
Well, I think the handwriting expert also said that to look for a wooden desk because he's writing on real wood, and that's why it's also kind of like that.
I didn't realize that part.
Because I definitely remember the cop coming back and saying, like, I know I have the right guy, but I didn't see a wooden desk and I couldn't find a red pencil shavings, so...
Okay.
Because that was the other thing.
That's when they find it.
And then they finally find it whenever he's like, the window ledge, and then they go back, but...
Some great, you gotta have that scene in a serial killer movie. The detectives doing their work.
Got to.
Using the clues.
It definitely helps, though, obviously, with just, like, what Deleuze was talking about, with just the duels of the movie, but just, like, this basically pincer-like movement, I think he called it, with both of them.
I thought you would like that.
Whoa, wait.
He literally uses the
temporal pincer movement.
Yes.
Damn. Was this where Nolan got it from?
Okay.
The pincer movement? No. Temporal, because he calls it a temporal pincer movement.
He does.
Of two actions. I don't know. I don't think he got it from Deleuze. Oh, you mean from this film? I thought you were talking about Deleuze for a second. I was like, I don't think Nolan's read Deleuze, but...
Yeah.
But he could have gotten an idea from this film, this idea of the way to form a narrative like that,
Yeah.
See, like, Nolan is definitely... He must be a large form filmmaker. Even though the time image kind of comes later, and, like, Nolan also loves time.
Yeah.
But, okay, to get back to this film, to me, the weakest part of the film, the part I would say is, like, not my favorite, is this kind of him in the bank.
Him hiding.
Yeah. It does kind of go on for a while.
It does.
Of, like, it is very tense, but, to me, it's just, like, the weakest part of the film. But just this whole, like, him being locked into this room as the cops. It is kind of fun watching how many criminals come and just, like, they have to be efficient in what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because, like, they don't want to be caught by the cops.
No, it's fun because they're basically performing a heist on this place, but the heist is a person that the cops also want.
Yes. And also, it also comes up, like, I love how the cops still don't know what the criminals are searching for. Because there's that great scene later where, like, the commissioner finds out that they're searching for the criminal. He's, like, he's trying not to freak out in front of the criminal guy. Yeah. But basically, my main part from this whole section is Peter Lorre's eyes really shine in the scene where he's, like, waiting in that corner in, like, the attic. And it's just the eyes are just, like, bulging out,
Yeah.
And I love how they just drag his body out of the place before the cops come. They, like, fucking tie him up and, like, just drag his body out. Then there's a few scenes where the way the cops find out where M is because one of the watchmen that they leave... one of the criminals they leave behind as they're running away, he gets caught by the cops and ends up telling them where Peter Lorre's staying. And that's what leads us to this great final scene. To this amazing shot of this is where you can say this is where the Deleuzian law comes in at some point, the Vasson's law, basically, a forbidden montage. Because all of a sudden you see all this wide shots of, like, this is where the final duel's going to take place, this arena of, like... Yeah. I think it pans across all the criminal underworld in, like, one shot. It doesn't cut across them, it just pans across all of them. And then we get the blind man come in and say... This balloon is creepy as fuck.
It is creepy as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I didn't realize it at the beginning of the film when you see it, but it's like, when he's showing it now, it's like, damn, this balloon is like, what kid wants this balloon?
Exactly.
Like,
is this where...
Taste of change, apparently.
Is this where it was influenced by?
Possibly. No, because the It scene, it definitely shares a lot of similarities with the Peter Lorre character, for sure. Because even the very beginning...
Who directed it, though?
Which one?
The new one?
The original one. It's a book, though.
It's a book.
Yeah,
Stephen King.
I forgot about that.
But the filmmaker could still be inspired on, like, a film on how to show it,
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I love the shot too of I think it's the balloon right in the foreground, Peter Lorre in the middle ground, and then all the crowd in the background watching it in just, like, one shot. And then this is where we get the kind of expressionistic plea, of Peter Lorre.
Oh, yeah.
Where he says, "I can't really help it. I can't help it." And he even says, "You guys can't. You guys do this. You guys do these as jobs. You guys could easily do something else if you wanted to, but I literally can't help it." And Lang based a lot of this on the stuff that serial killers were telling, like, he was reading about. He even went and interviewed a serial killer at the time, and this is how a lot of them explain themselves. They say they literally can't. It's like something that they can't control. And so that's why, like, Lang is trying to make this as realistic as possible too.
Yeah.
But then this is where he also gets the kind of a sham judge, this kind of drunk judge that's, like, defending him, which is funny.
But he's a good lawyer,
Yeah.
Good defense attorney.
He's the one that makes this point. I'm saying that this man is sick, and you turn it. a sick man over to a doctor, not an executioner. Basically, kind of making the anti-capitalist punishment argument. But this basic mob has already gone too far. This is where you can see the Nazi kind of readings if he wanted there. Where like they don't want this actual justice. They want to do it themselves.
This is the lynch mob from the Western.
I actually think Lang has a lynch movie once he came to America.
Oh, does he?
I can't remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure he does. So that also. And I forgot who makes this point, but I was reading one of the M reviews where they make this point that a lot of Westerns at the time used the lynch mob as a kind of parallel for Hitler's Nazi Germany specifically. Like that's what they were actually trying to reference, what they could at the time. Which, obviously that's what we're talking about with this film. But then at the same time we get Peter Lorre. He saved at the last moment by cops we don't even see. Yes. It's only basically by sound. We see it's a great shot of the reactions of the criminals all raising their hands up, because we hear the whistle of the cops. But yeah, we don't see anything. We just see a hand grab M, so basically saving him, And then it cuts to this last kind of quick scene of the court. It doesn't even name if he's what.
No. I was expecting a sentence or something, but I wasn't expecting it to just end with the mothers after just an empty courtroom.
Because the court says, "In the name of the people," and then it cuts.
Yeah.
Before he names his sentence. That's when his mother says this last line. In her view, the situation hasn't changed. You could say, "This will not bring our children back."
No.
But according to the criminal's perspective, it has changed. They can go back to doing their normal business without worrying about the cops as much.
It's true.
But yeah, that's M, and that's Deleuze's large form of this action image. Next week we are starting Blake's series.
Yes, starting Obayashi, week 1. We're doing 2 of his early movies. Well, we already have done his earliest movie, which is House, but that's fine. Because, honestly, we're going to be doing mostly the movies that I feel like he should be known for.
House is not even like in his top 5 movies, probably.
It's not for me either.
I hope not.
Jesus.
I mean, his Motorbike Rally at 3.5 is like...
We'll get to that one week 2. No, but week 1 we're going to start off with some of his wholesome, more... Like, I would honestly consider these, like these would be movies I'd be perfectly fine showing my kids, even though they have, like, pretty deep themes on...
You have kids?
No. Like, if I ever had kids, it would be...
Show my kids, I was like, wait, really?
He, like, pulls out some pictures.
Wait, what?
I never knew this.
Has a secret life. Like...
No, but we are going to be starting with IRU, You Are Me, and The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. So that'll be fun.
I haven't seen either of these.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, until next week, hope to see you floating through the clouds.